Hi everyone. Oh, sort of wondering what I was doing there. I got a bit confused. It's great that you could be with me just for this quick live feed. I said some time ago that I'll do what I can whenever I've got something that I think we need to talk about. I will have this conversation over Facebook and YouTube. Which reminds me, if you're on YouTube, could you please subscribe? And if you really feel so inclined, could you ring the bell? That would be nice. Look, the issue that I want to talk about today is about kids in residential care and in residential care facilities in particular, only because the Public Service Association today put out on their webpage a petition which is highlighting a number of issues that sit around child protection within residential care facilities. And I thought it was important that we notify you and let you know that this is an issue which has risen primarily because the government has stuffed up. And we hold Rachel Sanderson totally accountable for all the stuff-ups that have happened in recent times. She is, quite frankly, the stuff-up queen. So, and the fact that the system doesn't change and so forth, and I've talked about this heaps. But I want to bring us to the Have a Heart for Children in state care section, which is actually dealing with complaints that the PSA have concerning their staff, I guess, and the lack of staff around child protection issues and being able to care for these kids. So I'll bring us straight. So this may not be a long feed unless you want to make a comment, and then I can comment about your comments. So this is the better get straight to it. This is the page that you'll find if you go to megaphone.org.au. So it's a petition that the PSA have brought out in relation to kids. It just covers a few points that I thought would be really helpful that we try and discuss. So it says, to fix the growing crisis in child protection, Minister Rachel Sanderson must. This is not the first. It's nice to know that other people are saying some of these things as well. One, immediately increase the number of youth workers in residential care houses, reverse her government's cuts to vital early intervention programs, absolutely, and stop cuts to important programs that support our Indigenous children and their families. Why this is important. There is a crisis in residential care. Remembering, folks, that this is coming direct from the PSA. So even though it's really comforting sometimes to have other organisations support the things that the Child Protection Party rave on about, and it's great that in this particular occasion this has been supported by the Public Service Association. So it goes on to say, there's a crisis in residential care. Every month, hundreds of shifts are being covered by fatigued youth workers working excessive overtime. Many more are not covered at all. So just remember that this must be the feedback that the Public Service Association is now getting from those people that work within residential care facilities. And the fact that you've got fatigued youth workers working there, not social workers often, but mainly youth workers, in environments where they're often very disruptive, disjointed, and so on, and where they've got some pretty aggressive kids, I guess, given that most of them don't want to be there in the first place, and you wonder, if these workers are able to control kids when the workers themselves are fatigued, not focused, not being able to do their job properly, and probably creating an unsafe environment for these kids that are in residential care. And if any of your kids are in residential care, you need to be mindful of the fact that, and raise some of these issues with the social workers whenever you have a meeting with them, because this is about you caring for the well-being of your children as well. They go on to say, the staffing shortage has become so chronic that social workers are now being forced to care for children in offices because there aren't enough residential care staff to care for them. This puts vulnerable children and the staff that care for them, as I was saying, at serious risk. Minister Sanderson has known about this for years, yet the problem gets worse. And this is where Sanderson is so ineffectual. She makes no significant changes whatsoever within the child protection system. She will argue that she does. Like if you're going to say that you're changing something and this is what I'm doing to change it, then you need an outcome that demonstrates that whatever you've put in place has produced the result that you require or that you say that you're going to get. At no point have I ever seen Sanderson produce any statistics about the changes that she's made, whatever they may be. I don't know what they are, and the benefits that those changes have derived for kids that are in care. Don't see it. So if anybody is in contact with Rachel Sanderson, could someone ask her to get her act together and at least let the community know what wonderful changes that she's made and the benefits that they are for kids? Because we're removing more kids now than we ever have. So the other issue, of course, here is that if we're removing less kids, that would mean less staffing would be required, and therefore the youth workers and other workers would not be as fatigued simply because they wouldn't have the number of kids to look after that they do now. So maybe one of the lessons in all of this is that if you want to save some money, perhaps just don't remove as many kids as what you are. The Public Service Association has calculated that we need at least 60 more full-time youth workers to ensure appropriate staffing in residential care. Early intervention programs must be restored. In the last two state budgets, Minister Sanderson's government has made significant cuts to successful early interventions programs. As a result, we're seeing more children coming into state care. We need these programs restored to ensure vulnerable children and families are supported to function independently. So she's cut the very programs that we need to ensure that children are being that children perhaps aren't coming into care in the first place. So these are early intervention programs, and finally, cuts to Aboriginal programs must be abandoned. Ain't that the truth? Many children in care are Aboriginal, yet Minister Sanderson's government's plan to act critical programs specifically designed to support Aboriginal children and young people. Now, I have posted this link on our Facebook page. So what I'd like you to do is to go to our Facebook page and sign up for this petition. So this is a way we can be active in order to bring about significant change and let the minister know that we're not too happy with the way that she's behaving. Not that we ever are, but in this particular case, this is about if your kids are in residential care, they're not being cared for as they should be. I'll just go through some. There's only a couple of posts. This is rather an impromptu thing, so I can appreciate there probably aren't that many people online at the moment. My children were removed and still have nowhere to put them. My son is with a previous respite carer under my recommendations. They can't deal with them. That's often the case. It's true to put they also get approximately $100,000 per case in court. I don't know where that figure comes from. But Fuller, if you care to explain that and provide some data around that, more than happy to have a look at that. Our children are in residential care and all they want to come home. They certainly do, Karen. And Karen, congratulations on your anniversary recently. Good to know that you survived it for 7 years. I'm happy to hear that. Okay, thanks everybody for joining us. This is just a brief post just to let you know that this is happening and that could you please sign up to that particular webpage. It would be important to do so. Sign up to that petition and let the government know that you're unhappy with the fact that your children, if they're in residential care, your kids in general, are not being cared for appropriately because of staff burnout and not enough staff being employed. It's atrocious. Take care, everybody. Look after yourselves and be safe.